Mess with human children, and your species faces extinction. The sun was just starting to dip behind the small hills outside the town of Cedarville. Birds sang softly in the trees, and a gentle breeze moved through the quiet streets. Most people were getting ready for dinner or finishing their homework. It was the kind of evening that felt safe and normal, the kind of evening that made people forget the world outside. Lily Hart, a curious 9-year-old, was in her backyard. She had a small notebook and a pencil in her hands and was drawing the clouds. She loved clouds. They were always changing, always moving in new shapes. Sometimes she liked to imagine they were animals or castles or spaceships flying far away in the sky. Tonight, she had decided to draw a giant dragon floating among the pink and orange clouds. Her dog, Max, a small brown terrier, ran around her legs, barking at the squirrels that climbed the fence. Lily laughed and threw a stick for him. The sound of Max's bark echoed across the empty street. But then she saw something strange. A shimmer like heat waves over asphalt appeared in the air above her backyard. It moved slowly at first, like a ripple in water. Lily frowned. She rubbed her eyes, thinking she might be tired, but the shimmer stayed. It grew brighter and seemed to stretch, making the air waver around it. Lily took a step back. "Max, come here," she called, her voice trembling slightly. Max ran to her, tail wagging, but he stopped when he saw the shimmer. His ears perked up, and he growled softly, a low warning that made Lily shiver. Before she could do anything, the shimmer expanded quickly, covering her entire backyard. Lily felt a strange pressure, like the wind had suddenly turned inside out. Then, without warning, she was lifted off the ground. Max barked frantically, jumping and running in circles, but it was no use. In a blink, Lily vanished, leaving only the faint shimmer behind. At the same time, in another part of Cedarville, 10-year-old Jake Miller was walking home from school. He loved to race his friends, and today he had won their foot race by a long shot. He ran along the sidewalk, backpack bouncing, headphones in his ears, listening to his favorite songs. Jake didn't notice the shimmer that appeared over the playground he had just passed. It hovered silently over the swing set, moving like liquid silver. He walked right into it, thinking it was just sunlight reflecting off something. Then everything went blurry. When he opened his eyes, he was floating. The ground was far below him, and a strange, soft light surrounded him. Panic rose in his chest. "Help," he shouted, but his voice sounded muffled. The shimmer pulled him upward, and he felt a sudden rush of cold, like air but also like water. Then, in the next moment, he was gone, leaving the empty sidewalk behind. At the playground, a mother had been watching her baby in a stroller. She rubbed her eyes, thinking she had imagined the shimmer, but Jake's friends were still screaming. "Where's Jake?" one of them yelled. "He was right here." Meanwhile, 8-year-old Noah Brooks was at the town's small playground with his older sister, Sophie. He was trying to swing as high as he could. Sophie called out, "Be careful, Noah," but he only laughed. He wanted to see the clouds up close. Noah felt a sudden pull on his body, like someone was grabbing him from above. He looked around, confused, but saw nothing. His feet lifted off the ground, the swing moving wildly. Sophie screamed and ran toward him, but before she could reach him, Noah vanished into the same shimmer that had taken Lily and Jake. The playground was silent for a moment, except for Sophie's cries. People rushed out of their homes and phones were pulled from pockets. The town of Cedarville, usually so calm, was now in shock. 3 children had disappeared in broad daylight. In Washington, D.C., news of the disappearances reached the offices of the federal government quickly. Reports came in from local police. No signs of struggle, no security camera footage, no footprints. Just 3 missing children and a strange shimmer seen by a few witnesses. Dr. Karen Stone, a psychologist who had spent years studying child development, was called to advise. She had worked with children in crisis before, but she had never seen anything like this. She sat in her office, staring at the reports and shaking her head. "This isn't normal," she said to Colonel Daniel Price, who was briefing her. "Children don't just disappear like this. And if there's no evidence, no witnesses who can clearly describe anything, we are dealing with something unusual." Colonel Price was a tall man with short-cropped hair and a stern face. "Dr. Stone, unusual or not, we have to assume the worst. We have to mobilize our resources. We need answers, and we need them fast." Meanwhile, high above Cedarville, the Cathari watched. They were a species from a distant star system, pale-skinned, with long limbs and eyes that glowed faintly in dim light. They had been observing Earth for decades, thinking humans were weak, unpredictable, and easy to manipulate. Their scientists had studied humans through telescopes, satellites, and hidden probes. They knew about technology, military power, and even psychology, but they had underestimated one thing: the way humans felt about their children. The Cathari believed the children were harmless samples. They wanted to study how human brains developed, how humans learned, and how they reacted to fear. They thought this would give them an advantage if they ever needed to control humanity. Lily, Jake, and Noah found themselves in a strange place. It was a large chamber, softly lit with a blue glow. The walls were smooth and curved, with symbols they couldn't understand. The floor seemed to hum gently under their feet. None of the children had ever seen anything like it. Lily held Max tightly in her arms. Somehow he had appeared with her, still trembling. "It's okay, Max," she whispered. She didn't know if he understood her, but she felt a little braver with him close. Jake looked around, trying to understand what had happened. He felt dizzy and scared. "Where are we?" he asked. Noah, sitting beside him, hugged his knees and shook his head. "I don't know, I just want to go home." A voice spoke then in a tone that was strange and soft, almost musical. "Do not be afraid, you are safe." The children looked around, but they could see no one. The voice seemed to come from the walls themselves. Lily whispered, "Who's there?" The voice replied, "We mean no harm, we wish to study you." "Study us?" Jake asked, his voice shaking. "You can't just take children, we have families." The Cathari scientist didn't answer right away. The voice was calm, patient, but there was a hint of curiosity. "Your species is interesting. Your minds are more complex than we expected. Your emotions, your bonds, we wish to learn more." Noah started to cry. "I want my mom," he yelled. "I want my sister." Lily held his hand. "It's okay, Noah," she said softly, even though her own stomach was twisting with fear. "We'll figure this out, we have to." Back on Earth, the news had reached the entire country by now. Parents were panicking, towns were locking down, and social media was buzzing with theories. Some people thought the children had been kidnapped by humans, others thought it was a natural disaster, and a few whispered the unthinkable, that it might be aliens. Dr. Stone worked with the military to try to analyze what had happened. She studied the reports, the faint shimmer seen in video footage and witness statements. "Whatever did this," she said, "it's not human, and if it's not human, then we're in trouble. We need to act fast." The Cathari were watching everything too. They were fascinated by how humans reacted. They had never seen a species so united in the defense of its young. They had underestimated human determination, human rage when their children were threatened. Lily, Jake, and Noah were led into another chamber. This one had strange machines, glowing softly, and panels covered in unknown symbols. They were not harmful, but they hummed with energy. A small Cathari moved into view. It was tall and slender, its skin pale blue under the lights. Its eyes glowed softly, reflecting curiosity. "Do not be afraid," it said. "We only wish to learn, we will not hurt you." Lily stepped forward slightly. "Why us?" she asked. "There are millions of children on Earth." "Why take us?" The Cathari tilted its head. "You were nearby, it is random yet meaningful. Your species' patterns are informative. We learn faster by observing in person." Jake clenched his fists. "You can't just take people, you don't know what humans will do." The Cathari seemed to pause as if considering this. "We are not here to fight, we are curious, but curiosity will be tested." Noah's tears continued to fall. He felt a strange mix of fear and wonder. Everything was different, everything he had known gone in a blink. That night the three children lay on soft, glowing mats. The Cathari did not sleep, and the children could hear the quiet hum of the alien machines all around them. Somewhere deep inside them, a spark was growing, a small spark of hope. A spark that humans would not give up so easily. A spark that would remind the Cathari that they had made a mistake that could cost them everything if they did not understand what humans truly were. And far away on Earth, humans were already beginning to prepare. They did not know it yet, but the war for the children had begun. The sun had set, and Cedarville was quiet again, but the calm was only on the surface. Inside homes, parents were crying, pacing, and trying to understand what had happened. The disappearance of Lily, Jake, and Noah had shaken the entire town. News reports were on every screen, repeating the same question over and over. How could three children vanish in broad daylight? Dr. Karen Stone had barely slept. She sat in a command room surrounded by military officers and scientists. Maps and satellite images covered the walls. Computers hummed, showing lines of code and signals that seemed impossible to understand. "We've analyzed all the footage we have," Colonel Daniel Price said, his voice steady but tense. "There's no physical trace of the children, no fingerprints, no footprints, nothing, just nothing." Karen rubbed her temples. "And the shimmer?" she asked. "We saw it on some home security cameras. It wasn't just light, it bent the air. This is not human technology." Price nodded. "Whatever it is, it has them, and we need to get them back. We don't know how, but we will." Meanwhile, in the Cathari research station far above Earth, the three children were slowly getting used to their strange surroundings. Lily had started to explore a little. The glowing mats they slept on felt soft and warm, and the walls seemed to pulse with energy. Jake and Noah were more cautious. The Cathari scientist returned, walking gracefully across the smooth floor. Its long limbs moved without sound, and its glowing eyes scanned the children with curiosity. "You will stay here," it said. "Until we understand more, you will be safe. Do not resist, and you will not be harmed." Lily took a step forward. "Safe? You took us from our homes, you took us from our families. How can we be safe?" The Cathari seemed puzzled by her words. "Safety is not your concept, it is protection. You will not be harmed physically." "You are our subjects of study." Jake's fists clenched. "Subjects of study? We're not animals." The Cathari paused again, as if considering this. "You are human, your species is fascinating. Your minds, your feelings, your relationships, we want to understand. Observation is necessary." Noah buried his face in his knees. He did not understand the words fully, but he felt the meaning. He wanted his mom, he wanted his sister, he wanted his home. As hours passed, the Cathari scientists examined the children, asking questions in a soft, musical voice, watching their reactions, recording every movement. Lily tried to stay calm, Jake tried to be brave, and Noah tried to stay quiet. Back on Earth, the military had not wasted a single minute. Dr. Stone worked with a team of scientists and engineers, analyzing the shimmer, the strange reports, and every hint of what might have happened. "We are dealing with a species that has technology far beyond ours," she said. "They can make matter bend, move people without touching them, and possibly travel far faster than anything we have. But they have one weakness: they are curious. They want to learn. And curiosity can be used against them." Colonel Price looked at her carefully. "You mean we can trick them?" Karen nodded. "Possibly. If we understand what they value and what they want, we can use it. We need more information about their biology, their technology, their culture. Anything to help us get the children back." The first breakthrough came when a satellite picked up faint signals far above Earth, in the outer edges of the solar system. The signals were pulsing in a way that suggested artificial origin. They were not from Earth, not from any known human satellite, and certainly not from natural sources. "That's them," Price said. "That has to be the source of the shimmer. If we can trace it, we can find where the children are being held." Karen studied the data. "It's a long shot, but it's the best we have. We need to assemble a team: scientists, pilots, engineers, everyone who can help." Within days, a special task force was formed. People from around the world joined. Pilots who had flown the fastest jets, engineers who could repair almost anything, and scientists who understood physics, biology, and technology. They trained together, preparing for a mission no human had attempted before, to confront a species that had never interacted directly with humans. Meanwhile, inside the Cathari station, the children had begun to notice strange things. The machines in the chamber were not harmful, but they hummed with energy. Strange symbols glowed and moved along the walls. Sometimes, lights pulsed in rhythm with their voices or movements. Lily began to study the symbols, trying to understand if there was a pattern. "Maybe they are a language," she whispered to Jake. "Maybe if we understand it, we can talk to them better." Jake shook his head. "I just want to get home." Noah, still frightened, held tightly to Lily's arm. "I just want my mom," he whispered. That night, the Cathari scientists gathered and discussed their findings. They were fascinated. The children reacted in ways they did not expect. Fear, yes, but also curiosity, bravery, and even clever thinking. "This species is more complex than we thought," one Cathari said. "Their children are not simple. They think, they plan, they resist in subtle ways." Another Cathari responded, "Do we need to adjust the study? They may be unpredictable." Unpredictable was an understatement. Humans, the Cathari did not understand, had one strength above all else: love for their young. That love was a force that could change behavior, unify people, and if threatened enough, could unleash something the Cathari could not calculate. Back on Earth, governments had issued emergency alerts. Schools were locked down. Parents and teachers worked together to keep other children safe. News channels broadcast non-stop coverage of the disappearances. The world was paying attention. Dr. Stone began to speak publicly, trying to calm the fear but also preparing the population for the worst. "We do not know who or what is behind this," she said, "but we will not give up. Every child is sacred. Every life matters. And we will do everything in our power to bring them home." In secret, the task force was readying a ship capable of deep space travel. It was a combination of human technology and reverse-engineered alien devices. The engineers had been working non-stop, designing engines that could survive extreme conditions and shields that could withstand unknown forces. Colonel Price addressed the assembled team. "This mission is unlike any we have attempted. You may face dangers we cannot predict. But remember why we are doing this. These children are human, they are our future, and we do not leave them behind." Corinne Stone looked at the children's photos on her desk. Lily with her notebook, Jake with his backpack, and Noah with his stuffed toy clutched tightly. She swallowed hard and nodded. "We are ready," she said. High above, the Cathari observed the humans preparing. They did not understand the depth of human determination. They assumed that humans were weak, slow, and fearful. They thought the threat was only curiosity. They were about to learn otherwise. Inside the station, the children began to speak to each other in whispers. Lily tried to make sense of the symbols, Jake made small plans to explore the room, and Noah clung to hope. "We have to survive," Lily said softly. "We have to." "We can't give up," Jake nodded, "and we'll make them see humans are not easy to control." Noah's eyes were wide, but he managed a small smile. "And maybe we'll get home." The Cathari did not notice the small spark of resistance growing in the children. They were observing, but they underestimated one thing. Humans never gave up when their young were involved. Days passed. The children were studied constantly, asked questions, exposed to strange stimuli, and sometimes shown holograms of distant worlds. The Cathari believed they were learning from humans, but humans were learning too. Lily began to notice patterns in the symbols. Jake began to notice weaknesses in the Cathari routines. Noah began to understand that courage was possible even when you were small. Back on Earth, the task force was ready to launch. The ship shining in the hangar was a combination of hope, skill, and human ingenuity. Pilots suited up. Scientists monitored systems. Engineers ran final checks. Everyone knew the mission could be dangerous, but everyone also knew that nothing was more important than bringing the children home. Dr. Stone addressed the team one last time. "Remember," she said, "these children are our future. They are our hearts. Every human being alive today would do the same. Never forget why we fight." As the ship lifted into the sky, leaving Earth behind, the world watched. Some prayed, some held their children tighter, and some prepared for what might come next. Far above, the Cathari noticed the ship's departure. They did not understand. Humans had crossed boundaries they thought impossible, and this was only the beginning. Inside the station, Lily, Jake, and Noah felt a shift in the air. Something was happening. They didn't know what, but they felt it in their bones. Humans were coming for them. And when humans came for their children, the universe could change forever. The ship left Earth behind, moving faster than anything humans had ever achieved. Inside, the team of pilots, scientists, and engineers worked together in tense silence. Each moment brought them closer to the unknown, to the Cathari station where Lily, Jake, and Noah were held. Colonel Daniel Price stood in the front of the ship, watching the stars streak by. His face was set in determination. He had fought many battles, faced many enemies, but this mission felt different. This was personal. These were children, the future of humanity, and he would not fail. Doctor. Corinne Stone sat at a console, monitoring alien signals they had been able to intercept. "The shimmer is weakening," she said. "It looks like it can only exist near the Cathari station. If we can reach it, we might be able to neutralize it." One of the engineers, a young woman named Mia Lopez, frowned at the displays. "We need to be careful. Their technology is more advanced than anything we have seen. Even a small mistake could destroy the ship." Jake, Lily, and Noah did not know what was happening outside their prison. The Cathari had noticed the ship approaching, but they did not understand the human speed, the skill, or the determination that fueled them. Inside the chamber, the children had begun to form a plan. Lily had memorized patterns in the symbols on the walls. She had noticed that certain lights flashed in a sequence, and she whispered her observations to Jake. "If we can time it right, maybe we can create a distraction." Jake nodded. "I can try. Maybe we can get out of here even for a little while. We need to make them think we are unpredictable." Noah clung to Lily's arm. "I'm scared," he whispered. "But I want to try too." Lily smiled gently. "We'll stick together, that's the most important thing." Far above, the Cathari moved to intercept the human ship. Their sensors detected the vessel almost immediately, and they prepared to defend themselves. The Cathari believed the humans would be cautious, slow, and afraid. They had no idea how far humans could push themselves when their children were in danger. The first warning came as a small pulse of energy. The human ship shook slightly, but the engineers had reinforced the hull. "Minor turbulence," Mia said calmly. "Nothing to worry about." Colonel Price narrowed his eyes. "That's just the beginning. Keep alert." Inside the Cathari station, the children began to put their plan into action. Lily had remembered that the lights on the walls responded to their voices. She and Jake whispered in unison, repeating a pattern of sounds they had observed over the past few days. The lights flickered, brighter than before. The Cathari scientists noticed immediately, their glowing eyes scanning the room. "Interesting," one said. "They are responding to stimuli in an unexpected way." Another Cathari moved toward the control panel, attempting to stabilize the lights. That moment was all the children needed. Jake grabbed Noah's hand, and Lily grabbed a small device from the wall that had been left unattended. The device hummed faintly in her hand, and she realized it controlled part of the chamber. "This might work," she whispered. "If we can disable it for a few minutes, we can move." The lights flashed wildly, and the Cathari tried to regain control. The chamber hummed with energy, and for the first time the children felt a sense of power. Even small, even scared, they were making a difference. Outside, the human ship reached the edge of the Cathari's orbital shield. The shield was strong, glowing with a pale blue light, but humans had come prepared. Engineers had created a small device that could temporarily disrupt the shield without causing permanent damage. Mia activated the device. The shield flickered and weakened. Colonel Price gave the order. "Prepare for approach, we are going in." The human ship moved through the gap in the shield. Alarms sounded on the Cathari station. They did not understand what was happening. Humans were inside their defenses faster than expected, and they were bold. Inside the chamber, Lily pressed the device she had found against a panel on the floor. The floor opened slightly, revealing a narrow passage beneath. "We have to move fast," she said. "Follow me." Jake and Noah nodded. They crawled into the passage, the walls glowing softly as they moved. The Cathari tried to stop them, but the passage was too small for the aliens to enter quickly. Meanwhile, the human ship hovered above the station, scanning for life signs. "Doctor." Stone watched the readings carefully. "There, 3 life signs inside the station," she said. "They are moving, they are trying to escape." Colonel Price smiled. "Then they know we are coming. Keep us steady, prepare the extraction team." The Cathari realized that the humans had breached their outer defenses. Panic spread among them. They sent drones to intercept, but the humans were ready. Their ship was equipped with fast-moving countermeasures that disabled the drones before they could reach the station. Inside the narrow passage, the children felt the vibrations from the battle above. "That must be them," Jake whispered. "The humans are here." Noah's eyes were wide. "Do you think they can save us?" Lily squeezed his hand. "They will, they have to. We just have to hold on a little longer." The passage led to another chamber, larger and filled with strange machinery. The children realized this was the main control room. Panels covered every wall, and strange lights pulsed in patterns. A central console had a glowing map of stars, showing the Earth far below. Lily approached the console and pressed the device against it. Sparks flew, the machinery hummed and clicked. "It's working," she whispered. "We can disable part of the station." The Cathari scientists rushed in, their glowing eyes wide with alarm. "Stop them," one shouted. Jake pushed Noah behind him and shouted back, "We're not stopping, you can't keep us." Lily focused on the console, following the patterns she had memorized. Slowly, the machinery powered down in sections. Lights went out and the humming slowed. The Cathari tried to react, but the children's actions had bought enough time. Outside, the human ship was hovering directly above the station now. Colonel Price gave the order. "Lower the extraction pod. Bring the children home." A pod descended quickly with a cable that extended into the station. The children saw it and ran toward it. Jake helped Noah climb first, then Lily followed. The Cathari tried to grab them, but the pod lifted quickly, pulling them out before the aliens could stop them. Inside the human ship, the children were safe. Max, who had somehow been with them the entire time, barked happily. Lily hugged him tightly. Jake and Noah were breathing hard, but they were smiling, relief and excitement mixed with fear. Colonel Price spoke through the intercom. "Children, you are safe. You are coming home." The Cathari watched from their station, stunned. Their plans had been destroyed, their technology had been outsmarted, and their prisoners were gone. They had underestimated humans. They had underestimated the strength of love, the courage of children, and the determination of a species that refused to be controlled. "Doctor." Stone approached the children. "You were very brave," she said. "You helped make this possible. You should be proud." Lily smiled, exhausted. "We just wanted to go home," she said softly. Jake nodded. "And we're finally going." Noah hugged Lily and Jake tightly. "I want my mom," he whispered. Karen Stone looked at the earth below. "Soon," she said. "Very soon." The ship jumped into faster-than-light travel, leaving the Cathari system far behind. Inside, the children slept, exhausted from the adventure, the fear, and the courage they had shown. Outside, the humans prepared for the next steps. The Cathari had been defeated, but humanity had learned something important. Threats to their children were never taken lightly. Far across the galaxy, other species would soon hear about the events in Cedarville. They would learn that humans were not to be underestimated, that the defense of children was sacred, and that love, courage, and determination could defeat even the most advanced technology. For Lily, Jake, and Noah, the adventure was not yet completely over, but they had survived. They had survived the Cathari, outsmarted their captors, and shown that humans, even children, could be brave, clever, and strong. And humanity was watching, ready to remind the galaxy that the protection of their young was more powerful than any weapon, faster than any ship, and stronger than any enemy. The human ship left the Cathari system behind, but the mission was far from over. Colonel Daniel Price stood at the command deck, looking at the screens that showed the alien homeworld ahead. The Cathari had underestimated humans once, but humanity would not make the same mistake twice. "Doctor." Karen Stone sat nearby, analyzing the data they had collected from the Cathari station. "We now understand a lot about their technology," she said. "Their defenses, their weapons, even their communication systems. We can strike effectively, but we have to be careful. Any mistake could make them fight harder." The pilots were tense but ready. They had trained for years for moments like this. They were ready to do what humans did best, face impossible odds and win. Lily, Jake, and Noah were in the medical bay, recovering from their ordeal. Max was curled up beside them, exhausted but alert. The children had been brave and humans had saved them, but they were still small and scared. Lily looked out the window at the stars. "Do you think we can stop them?" she asked softly. Jake shrugged. "We have to. We can't let them hurt anyone else." Noah held her hand. "And we'll make them pay if they try," he said. Colonel Price gave the order. "All teams prepare for final approach. We are going to disable the Cathari completely. We are going to make sure no other humans are taken again." The ship moved closer to the Cathari homeworld. It was larger than Earth, with pale blue oceans and cities that glowed faintly in the alien light. The Cathari had strong defenses, but humans had prepared for everything. The engineers had developed a series of EMP pulses that could temporarily shut down Cathari shields and systems. 3, 2, 1, the countdown echoed through the ship. The pulse fired, moving across the planet like a wave. Cathari sensors flickered and died. Lights went out in the cities and ships in orbit stopped moving. For the first time, the Cathari realized that humans were not to be ignored. Inside the main command center of the Cathari, their leaders watched in horror. "They are faster than we predicted," one said. "Our defenses are failing. What is happening?" "They are human," another replied. "They fight for their children. They do not give up." Outside, human strike teams moved with precision. Small pods deployed across the planet, landing near key cities and command centers. Humans were careful, not harming civilians, but disabling Cathari military systems wherever they went. Colonel Price coordinated the attack from the ship. "Team Alpha, secure the communication towers. Team Beta, disable the orbital fleets. Team Gamma, protect the children's files. Move carefully, but move fast." Lily, Jake, and Noah watched from the ship. They did not fully understand everything, but they felt hope growing. Humans were not just rescuers, they were a force. They were making the aliens pay for what they had done. In one of the Cathari cities, the streets were filled with confusion. The lights went out, machines stopped, and alien guards tried to understand what was happening. Humans moved quickly, capturing key positions and disabling dangerous technology. A Cathari commander screamed orders, but no one could respond fast enough. Their ships were disabled, their weapons neutralized. Humans had outsmarted them at every step. Back in orbit, the human ship released a final EMP pulse. This one was stronger, targeting every remaining Cathari system at once. Buildings shook as lights died across the planet. Ships fell from orbit. Communications went silent. Karen Stone looked at the readings. "It's over," she said quietly. "They have no control. The children are safe. Humanity has won." Colonel Price did not relax. "Not yet. We need to make sure they cannot rise again. We need to leave a warning." Lily, Jake, and Noah were brought to the command deck. Lily looked at the Cathari world below. "They can't hurt anyone now," she whispered. Jake shook his head. "They need to learn a lesson. They need to remember what humans will do if children are threatened." Noah looked at the blue planet and said softly, "I hope they understand." Karen Stone smiled. "They will understand. Humans always make sure they understand." Colonel Price gave the order. A message was sent across the Cathari systems, broadcast in every possible channel. The message was simple, clear, and without threat, but it carried the weight of a species united. It said, "Mess with human children and your species faces extinction. Humanity protects its own. We will not negotiate when our young are threatened. Remember this." On the Cathari world, leaders watched the message. They were silent. For the first time, they understood the power of humans. They had studied humans for decades, thinking they were clever and weak. But they had miscalculated the most important thing, the love humans felt for their children and the lengths they would go to protect them. Inside the human ship, the children smiled for the first time in days. Lily hugged Max. Jake shook his head in disbelief. Noah clung to them both. Colonel Price spoke gently. "You were brave. You helped show the Cathari that humans are not to be underestimated. You helped save your species, even if you didn't know it." Lily looked up at him. "We just wanted to go home." Jake nodded. "And now we can." The human ship prepared to return to Earth. The Cathari were weakened, their systems destroyed, and their plans in ruins. Humanity had shown them that no one could challenge humans when their children were threatened. Back on Earth, the world celebrated. Families hugged, tears were shed, and news outlets covered the rescue nonstop. Lily, Jake, and Noah were welcomed home with cheers. Max ran happily around the yard, barking at everyone. Dr. Stone visited each of the children's families. "You have been through a lot," she said gently. "But you are safe now, and you help show the galaxy what humans can do when their children are in danger." Lily smiled shyly. "I guess humans are stronger than we think," Jake laughed. "Stronger and smarter." "And we'll never let anyone hurt our friends again." Noah nodded, holding his favorite toy. "And our families." Colonel Price watched quietly as the children reunited with their families. He knew that this was only one battle, but it was an important one. Humans had proven something today. No matter how advanced an enemy might be, humans would fight with courage, love, and unity when their young were at risk. Across the galaxy, other species noticed what had happened. News traveled through whispers and transmissions. Humans were not weak. Humans were not predictable. And above all, humans would never, ever allow harm to come to their children. Years later, Lily, Jake, and Noah would tell the story to their friends and families. They would remember the fear, the courage, and the moment when humans stood as one to protect the most precious members of their species. They would also remember the message sent across the stars. Humanity's children were sacred, and anyone who dared to harm them would face the full force of a species united. The Cathari would rebuild slowly, but they would never forget. They had learned the hard way that humans were unlike any species in the galaxy. They fought with something deeper than weapons, faster than ships, and stronger than fear: the love for their children. On Earth, the three children grew up safely, surrounded by family, friends, and the knowledge that they had been part of something larger than themselves. Humanity had survived, and the galaxy had learned its first lesson. Mess with human children, and your species faces extinction. Even as they grew older, Lily, Jake, and Noah remembered the courage it had taken to survive, the humans who had risked everything for them, and the promise that humanity would always protect its own. They knew that humans would face other threats in the future, but nothing would ever change the fact that children were sacred, and humans would always fight to defend them. The galaxy had seen what humans were capable of, and no species would ever forget the lesson taught by 3 small children and the love of an entire planet.